Hey everybody, it's Brody from Brody's Garage. This is episode 34. Today is Sunday, May 8th. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. I thought I would just do a real quick recap of the latest happenings over the past few days with the Nova build. Let's do it. Okay, my first project the other day was to try to figure out the gas pedal situation. This is a low-car billet gas pedal that is designed to fit a 62 to 67 Chevy 2 Nova, and I'm sure it probably does for a stock application, but because I have the world's largest transmission tunnel ever known to mankind, everything got shifted over this way to the driver's side, so I had to rebuild that brace that goes down from the firewall down to the pedal. About the only things left are the bracket, the faceplate that holds it to the firewall, and the little shaft here that the pedal actually sits on. The strut tube down there I actually fabricated out of a piece of exhaust hanger, which was made of stainless steel, and surprisingly I was able to get it to weld up, but that required about a day of my time. Everything looks good and it moves. The only problem is I thought I had a little bit more room on the firewall side for the throttle cable, and I realized very quickly that I really don't have any room at all. As you can see there, the cable comes right out behind the valve cover, and there's just no way to get around it other than bending it immediately. This is the least amount of kink that I could get out of it. And even though it does work, it is extremely, it's rubbing. And so I'm gonna have to come up with another solution. I'm probably going to have to move the cable further towards the outside, or down here or somewhere, and then go back into the throttle cable, or excuse me, go on to the gas pedal arm and come up with a way to build an offset shaft so that the cable is moved over that way, so that when the pedal moves, the throttle cable is over there moving alongside of it. That's my thoughts for now, but I got kind of to a point where I was kind of frustrated with it, and so I left it at that. Electrical. The more wiring things that I plug into that Holley Terminator, the more I think that I'm probably going to end up mounting it behind the glove box door there, because of the length of cable and everything. It's sort of all culminating over there. I could also probably stick it here or somewhere else up into the dash, but as of late, I'm starting to think there. I ran the pigtail that goes back to the battery. There's its own positive and negative direct line in that black loom over there. There's a pigtail that goes down to the transmission connectors. There's all the stuff that's already going through the wiring grommet right there. And so, I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet, but that's what's going on with that. I ordered a new billet headlamp switch to go in here, and my push button start switch for the ignition will probably go there. There's that stuff right there. Push button switch. These are the linkage components for the transmission shifter cable, which I gotta decide where, but I gotta put a hole in there and then run that cable down. I hope that the cable isn't too long. It seems kind of ridiculously long, but we'll find out soon enough. What else? Oh yeah. So yesterday, I received in the mail a pair of turbo header manifolds from stainlessheaders.com. They are very, very high quality looking pieces. I'm very pleased with the quality of workmanship and the thickness of the flanges and the tubing. It's very heavy duty stuff. Upon receiving them, I tried a couple different ways, up and forward and down and forward, and I ultimately decided on down and forward. The passenger side fits incredibly well right down in the channel there. The driver's side, on the other hand, required quite a bit of work. First thing I had to do was trim off the threads on this control arm bolt here, about 1/4 inch worth, to get this to drop down in there. And the first thing I realized, which I was expecting it, but so I'm not surprised, but the power steering reservoir that was here obviously had to go, and so I've ordered the remote reservoir relocation kit to move it up there on the inner fender panel. Along with the stainless steel headers, I ordered 3 different size or 3 different radius couplers, and as it turns out, I'm probably going to use all 3 per side. There's a 90, a 45, and a 20, I believe, and I'll step back so you can see what's going on here. Look at that, pair of turbos. This is the first time I've actually had turbos mounted sort of, you know, where they're gonna go with the hot side and cold side mocked up. Everything is hand tight right now. Nothing is welded, nothing is fully tightened up. To get all this stuff going and to pull the reservoir off, I had to pull the pump off, which means I had to pull the belt off, and to get the belt loose, I had to remove the cover for the tensioner, and there was no room to get a wrench there, so I had to pull the radiator and core support out. Kind of glad that I did, because it gives me more room to work here. I am going to have to notch the inner thinner panels. You can see that the turbos are rubbing there, and also down below here, the V-band flange that comes off the end of the turbo manifold was about 1/8 of an inch away from this down bar for the suspension from TCI. And I could not get the V-band clamp on there. I today heated it up with a torch and whacked it a few times with the end of a breaker bar, and I got the V-band in there, but as you can see, there is still more room to go to get that clearance. It's just resting right up against the bar right now. I don't know if you can tell where I've kind of flattened out that tube, but there's a little bit more room to go on that, and I will continue to work on that when I get a second wind. But I'm really actually pretty stoked to see the turbos kind of living where I think they're ultimately going to live. That's probably very close, with maybe some fine-tune adjustments. I, of course, need to put the radiator back in and make sure I've got room between those two filters, or come up with another solution. But that's what's going on today. So the remaining items are to finish mocking this up. I will begin work on my down pipes and my exhaust system. I've got to weld these flanges on for the cold side. I've got to get the radiator back in place. I've got to figure out my radiator hoses, which, as you recall from before, the upper nipple needs to be re-welded on at an angle to get underneath the cold pipe there. I got to do my power steering hoses once the reservoir relocation kit comes in. I've got to do my brake lines. My drive shaft that I'm having made from QA1 should be here within a week to 2, hopefully. And at that point, I'll double check my pinion angles and all that. Hopefully I don't have to remodify the transmission cross member, but I may have to. And then ECU mounting, finishing up the wiring. I can get this thing started. I can actually take it around the block for a little test drive. And then, oh my God, it's getting crazy windy here. Look at this. This just sort of happened within the last few minutes today here. Happy Mother's Day. Anyway, I'm getting close to the point where I can start this thing up, take it for a drive, and then begins the process of disassembly, prep for paint, put it back together, you know the rest. Anyway, just thought I'd give you guys an update. Happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there, and to all of you who have a mom, or have a daughter who's a mom, or a grandmom, or whatever it is. Happy Mother's Day. I'll catch you on the next episode.